Good afternoon, colleagues, students. It is an honor to be invited to this conference, and I'm delighted to be here today. I would like, first of all, to thank Dr. Anne-Marie Bonnet for this kind of invitation, and the organizing committee for the hard work they have been doing so far to make this meeting a success. I think, this is a good opportunity to share thoughts about museum practices in our respective countries. In reference to the conference title, my presentation focuses on the Museum of Mohammed VI of modern and contemporary art. There is a controversy among Moroccan people in general, and Moroccan artists in particular, about whom it does represent and the objectives it tries to achieve. So this museum opened its door in 2014, located in the center of Rabat, the administrative capital. This museum is, the first large-scale museum built after, the independence of Morocco in 1956. The building, as you can see, is an Andalusian architecture. It took, which took about 10 years to construct, and required a budget of 17 million euros. This is the main door of the museum. So the first exhibit, the title was 1914, 2014, 100 years of creation. So this exhibit explores a century of Moroccan art with over 400 works of art by 200 Moroccan artists, including Farid Belkahia, Shaibiya Talal, Mohammed Qasimi, and many others. Now, some paintings which are exhibited in the museum. The Union of Moroccan Artists held a protest in 2014 outside the Moroccan parliament in Rabat because they were unhappy with the way such an exhibit was made and such works were collected and displayed. Abdellatif Zine, the president of the union, has pointed out on this occasion that Moroccan artistic associations and unions were not involved and were not consulted about the exhibition. And I quote him. He says, "We refuse categorically to take lightly our identity and our Moroccan culture. I cannot imagine that France would one day appoint a Moroccan curator to choose which of its artists would deserve to represent French art on its soil." He's referring to the fact that, it's not Moroccans who have chosen what kind of art to be displayed in the museum, but it's a French team which was hired to represent Moroccan art in Morocco. And this would lead us to this article which was published in a Moroccan newspaper. The title is the following. I'm going to translate. An art museum with Moroccan money and French tongue. In the press conference organized on the occasion, the president of the National Foundation of Museums, Mehdi Qutbi is an eminent, famous, talented artist. He was living in France for 30 years, and he was appointed as president of this foundation. When he came back to Morocco, he brought with him a French team. So on the opening ceremony and on the interview, he spoke only in French and refused to speak in Arabic on the ground that, well, he doesn't speak Arabic and he cannot speak Arabic. Hind El Ayoubi, the vice director of the museum, spoke also in French when one reporter from the Arab world asked her a question in Arabic. She said, "Sorry, I don't speak Arabic." Now, this is the main entrance of the museum, and you can see the name of the museum is written in 3 languages. First, in French, in big letters. Second, in Arabic, in smaller letters. And then in Amazigh language. Amazigh, the language of the people of Morocco, the first aborigines, and, well, often referred to as Berber. But, well, they don't like this term. They prefer to refer to themselves as Amazigh, because Amazigh means the free people. And, well, the Romans, when they colonized North Africa, they referred to them as Berber. Anyone who did not speak Latin was referred to as Berber. It should be pointed out that, well, Arabic is the official language of Morocco. And in the last constitution of 2011, after the Arab Spring, Amazigh became a national language. In all government institutions, and in all government institutions, and buildings, Arabic comes first, followed by Amazigh, and then French. It's not a linguistic problem. It's not just a matter of language. It's a problem of worldview and perspective. So, before, well, the opening of the museum, some artists, and this is another article which was published on the newspapers on the occasion of the opening of this museum. I said, well, on the occasion of, while preparing for the museum, some artists donated their paintings or sold their paintings with preferential prices to the Ministry of Culture. To their great surprise, when the museum was opened, so they didn't find their paintings, neither in the Ministry of Culture, nor in the museum. When they asked about their paintings, so the Minister of Culture and, well, the President of the Foundation were unable to provide a satisfactory answer and to elucidate this enigma. They have disappeared. So this is another article just to show you that it's not the first time that, well, works of art disappear. This article here refers to the fact that, well, 67 paintings were stolen, and, well, fortunately the police found the thieves and they were arrested. Now, this is the second exhibition, Medieval Morocco from Africa to Spain. It is an exhibition that featured over 300 artifacts that come from the first Moroccan Amazigh dynasties from the 11th century to the 15th century, which ruled over parts of North Africa and Iberia. The works of art, the works displayed include architectural elements, doors, capitals, sacred mosque elements, such as this one is mimbar. Mimbar is where the religious man stands on Friday prayers and he gives his sermon. Also, we have more artifacts, vestige of everyday life, ceramics, coins, etc. Medieval Morocco was first displayed in France, in the Louvre, and then in Mohammed VI Museum. According to the organizers, there are a few larger messages the show communicates. And I'm quoting, to demonstrate the shared history of modern nations and persons of different faiths throughout the Mediterranean region, in addition to the central role Morocco played as a conduit for these nations' cultures and traditions handed down over time. Another message: we can also learn from the show that not only were the early centuries of Islam characterized by artistic renaissance, but that the history is in danger today due to wars and conflict in Libya, Mali, and Iraq. I totally agree with these messages. However, I would like to make a few points. Number one, I'm perplexed by the fact that this exhibition, which is about medieval Morocco, is built and organized by a museum of modern and contemporary art. Honestly, I don't see the link. Number two, there are two versions of this exhibit. The first version, which was first displayed in the Louvre, was much bigger in scale than the one which was displayed in Rabat. The Rabat version was limited both in collection and in time. Third, the exhibition is shown first in the Louvre and then in Rabat. So I wonder, who the audience this museum is primarily interested in? Is it, the Moroccan people in Rabat and in Morocco, or elsewhere? Mohammed VI Museum as a temple. And I have borrowed this term, the temple, from a chapter written by Catherine Lewis, From Temple to Forum, in her book, The Changing Face of Public History, where she records the changes the American museums have undergone as cultural institutions trying to represent all members of society. I quote her. She states, as museum professionals began to investigate the history of the different populations, the emphasis shifted from the past to the present, from national to local stories. Mohammed VI Museum for Modern and Contemporary Art can be considered as a temple because it seems that it aims essentially at representing a specific image of Morocco to the outside world. And here, so this is, another door of the museum. I share the point of view of Katarzyna Perzak, who believes both the conceptual and the physical building of the museum have been mired in controversy since the museum's inception. Artists and curators feel left out of the process and fear that the museum will be an empty gesture to the global community, a symbolic architecture to prove that Morocco is not behind the times. Two eminent Moroccan artists are skeptical about the educational roles or goals of this museum. The first one is Fouad Bellamin, an important post-independence Moroccan painter, has noted that the superficial way in which the museum's collection is being conceived, and asked the pointed question, what is the very notion of this museum in our time? Another Moroccan artist, Maria Karim, explained, there is no art education in Morocco, so for whom are we constructing a museum? Personally, I believe that it doesn't serve anyone to say, yes, we too in Morocco, we have a museum. I don't think there is a political will that sees much further than this type of statement. Another exhibition is the César exhibition. César, a Mediterranean history from December 9th, 2015 to March 14th, 2016. This exhibition revolves around major works of Cesare Baldaccini, best known by César, one of the greatest sculptors of the 20th century. Born in 1921 in Marseille from Italian parents of Tuscan origin, César was a real Mediterranean character. Although settled in Paris until his death in 1998, he belonged to the South, both in appearance and character. No one can deny that it is a great thing and a great idea to initiate Moroccan people to works of César and to immerse them into Mediterranean world and culture. However, I would like to make, again, a few points and a few comments. Number one, it is a fantastic idea to build a big museum that respects international norms. However, a museum is not only an edifice where artifacts are displayed, it is also the people this cultural institution is trying to serve. A museum that does not take this human dimension into its consideration will ultimately fail. Number two, in the absence of art education in Moroccan schools. So in Moroccan schools, there is no art education. Public schools, I mean, in some private schools, children, they have, art classes. In the absence of art education in Moroccan schools, I wonder who would appreciate and send César. Number three, in Morocco, museums in general have failed to reflect and to represent the rich and diverse national cultural heritage. It would have been great if the museum, Mohammed VI Museum for Modern Art and for contemporary art, had reached out to schools and devised educational programs to reconcile Moroccan people with their heritage. This is one of the works of César. It's the fingerprint, okay, which is magnified. Okay, so Shergi Dahmani, a Moroccan artist, explains, looking at the number of museums and their state, we realize that they reflect neither the Moroccan heritage nor the rich culture of our country. However, Morocco is very rich both by its geology, with different geological eras and their traces, and by its political history with the different dynasties that ruled Morocco. We lack also regional museums. To conclude, I believe that it is essential to build a museum culture, to encourage people to visit museums and to be proud of their own heritage. Today, most of the visitors are foreign tourists, university researchers, or specialists in the field. According to Shergi Dahmani, again, the Moroccan does not have this museum culture and prefers 1,000 times to take his children to a park than to a museum. Most Moroccans are not initiated to visit museums. It is not part of our going out habits, and we are unfortunately not yet aware of the importance of museums. And thank you so much for your attention.